This is difficult.
Okay, so now we're in the evening. So we've had our interrupted dinner and our interrupted lunch and multiple more fights in between. I've run out on the field without any armor and looted some orcs. There's been a trebuchet attack that was primarily for the Rivlins because we needed just an hour to be able to eat our food, and we still didn't get it. And a bunch of Otterkin went out and helped the Rivlins. And
I was there for that,
now,
I died.
Yeah. So all this has happened, and now it's evening. We're post-dinner, we're post-attack.
Second day,
yep. So it is now getting dark. And Revna and I are supposed to go to Sylvie's wedding because she was getting married to Quinn Jameson. And we were supposed to be there. So we're like, okay, we've got a little bit of time. Let's go up and go to the bathroom. So we do, and we come back. And I think we leave really quick for something else. And come back again. Like, we go to get something or something. I don't remember. But we went up with Ire and then came back. But Ire had already... I don't know. I don't remember. For some reason or another, we'd left camp and come back again. The two of us. And we get back, and all we hear is, "Wraith in the camp! Wraith in the camp!" And we're like, what is a wraith? What is happening?
That was so. Yeah, that was. Yeah, I remember that because I was guarding the gate at the time, and that's how we got through because he killed Wim.
Yeah, yeah, he killed Wim.
He was body blocking the gate.
Yeah, to get through the gate.
So meanwhile, the wedding, murder in the background.
Yeah.
I love Heff's story about it. I think
this is before Dwin and Harf left to go to the wedding.
Okay.
So this is. Oh, Ire was with us, I think. So we come in and we're hearing Wraith in the camp, and Sylvie's like, "Are we ready to go?" And like leaves with Ire, and Revna and I are like, Wraith.
We got
and
we're not missing this wedding for anything.
Herf's in the area, and he comes up to us and he's like, he's after the idol. And earlier in the day we'd moved it, and then got told we had to put it back because it had to be visible, and we couldn't just hide it.
Mm-hmm.
But
like a certain full faction.
But little bit of knowledge that we know now is compelled truth exists, right? So we know as players and characters, compelled truth is a thing in this universe. So we were being very mindful about who knew what and how much and when, and just not telling people. This is relevant later.
I had no idea, which I didn't need to know, which is better.
Revna goes, "I have Arcane Fortress." And I'm like, let's go. So we book it back to the Crone Circle. We're digging around in the tent trying to find the idol so we can cast Arcane Fortress. I pick up the Warcaller's single-handed blade. Well, we're still looking. And we're like, we can't find it. Let's just cast it in front of the doorway and block the whole thing. And as we're like getting the ribbon out, before she's ripped the card, I look up just a little bit, and Herf is standing, straddling the idol,
unbeknownst
5
to him,
feet in front of us. Unbeknownst to him, 5 feet in front of us. Not even like it's at the end of the guy line from the tent. And
he was body blocking the Wraith, and the Wraith didn't know it was there.
Herf didn't know
there
it was under his
feet. There were 5 or 6 different warriors around it. Like all the Vidir were there, I think.
The Crones were there.
I was there in the background.
Killed at this point already.
Dwin died?
Dwin died.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Dwin died for it. Once. So I know for a fact she at least had 2 mortal wounds. So I'm like, wait, it's right there. And we're like, and at this point we think it's still cursed and we can't touch it. So we loop the line over the thing between Herf's legs while she's casting Arcane Fortress and just make a little circle right there in front of the tent. And then one of the other warrior guys manages to grab it and put it behind her for us. And at this point, we're stuck because she can't leave Arcane Fortress or it dispels. And I can't leave because I'm magical. Because that's one of the traits of Arcane Fortress. If you're magical, you cannot pass.
So that's the entire shtick. If you're magic, you can't go past it. That's
exactly
literally it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Very powerful.
So I'm stuck in it. And I'm like, all right, we're dying on this hill. I'm going to stand right here and I'm going to defend this circle. Or I'm going to die trying. If this thing can get through, we're screwed. But I'm going to do my to make sure it stays out.
Hence why everyone thinks you're a warrior.
Yep. Probably. And I go, I need an axe! And people just keep trying to hand me two-handed axes. And I'm like, I can't use these!
Because the entire event, and even afterwards in the hotel and the Buffalo Wings, everyone thought you were a warrior.
Yeah. Everyone thought I was a crone or a warrior. Or both. Which is funny, because crones are magic, not warriors.
I loved it. It was great.
Nobody knew I was a potionsmith.
Everyone did think I was still a spell scribe, but that's
But that was the point.
That was the point.
You wanted it that way.
I did that way. But like, it's so funny because everyone thought you were a warrior, and like the reputation you have gained over in Garnet. There's been like, oh yeah, Riley can take on like two orcs. No, maybe 3 orcs. I can do 3 orcs.
Yeah, she can totally take on 5 or 7.
5 or 7. Yeah, 5 or 7. I tell you. Oh, the undead had the bone collector left because she was there.
And the funny part is Volley's actually done very little combat in game.
She just looks menacing enough.
And like again, like you taking on the WRAITH, being like, I'm gonna die on this hill, does not help this accusation.
Yeah, everyone thinks I'm a cannibal.
But he just walked away. Like, we got the thing behind us, and Herf was standing in front of us, and the WRAITH just walked off. And we're like, is it gone? Are we done?
Is that
good?
also when the imbue weapon thing happened?
Yes, so there was like a whole thing with imbue weapon where...
Again, communication.
Yeah, well...
To me, that might be our fault. I mean, I'm trying to figure this out.
It was player doing, but it's still like... The Arbiter was still saying imbued weapon, and then the WRAITH still wasn't going down, but I think he knew that it wasn't proper.
So the
shenanigans with rules not being followed, and like certain things, like with imbue weapon, you cast it on the weapon, and then it is imbued.
It is considered magical
and
weapon.
as soon as you let go, it is no longer imbued. So a sage cannot imbue a weapon and then hand it to somebody else.
No longer imbued.
No longer imbued. And that was something that was not followed during the WRAITH attack. Someone was trying to imbue somebody else's weapon, and it just wasn't working.
I felt I considered myself pretty knowledgeable of the rules. I missed that. It might have also been in a minute, but I don't blame it. I think it is a good rule system.
It happens. We weren't getting the rules fast enough because of certain things, and then also people were busy, and there wasn't time to go over everything with everybody.
There were issues with the arbiters.
There were some issues with the arbiters making different calls than what should have been made.
It's also the whole thing with Revna.
Yes, the going to an arbiter and asking for a nitty-gritty, how does the gears of this machine work? Give me a straight answer on this one specific question. And then being told it's a game, do whatever you want. I personally feel is extremely unacceptable. Because this is I'm trying to work within the rules as they're supposed to be used, and you're telling me something that is A, not helpful, and B, not conducive to everybody following the rules.
The game is... It can be considered a competitive game, right?
It is a competitive game.
We have the rule sets.
You're out of frame!
Hashtag man where you are.
I don't care where you are, just get in frame. There you go.
I'm the one making the video.
But you're talking, so you should be in frame.
Oh, fine.
Now you can lean on it.
Let me see my pretty face.
Yeah.
Especially with such a game like this, I need to be getting careful how I say with this about certain things that Jimmy said. Not entirely pleased with how all the operatives were dealt with this year. A few certain examples that were told by a few different players to me. I never had interaction with an arbiter, like at all, the entire time. But I just heard so many stories from different people about certain things, and this was one of them.
Yeah.
There was that other time.
Yeah, so there was another incident during the walk back from the ritual night 1 where an arbiter apologized to the person who wrote the rules because the ritual rules were dumb,
quote unquote,
were they didn't like them, and just other things in that framework.
So I like to apologize for the stupid system.
Something along those lines, yeah. I don't think they called it stupid. They might have said, I think this is dumb or something.
I'm not going to put words in your mouth or whatever,
exactly,
but it was...
I don't remember exactly, but I do specifically remember them saying, I don't like these rules. And I'm so sorry.
As if it was a bother.
Yeah.
To the rules
writer.
To
the guy who wrote the rules.
Not knowing it was the guy that wrote the rules.
And and then immediately flipping tones about it.
Once they found out.
As soon as the arbiter found out. And regardless of who you're saying that to, that is incredibly unprofessional. That should not be something that you're saying to a player.
Mm-hmm.
Period. You are here to enforce the rules as a pseudo staff member. That's not okay behavior. Air your grievances in private, not with a player, not on site, not during game.
So, yeah, we were talking about MB weapon. There was a few issues with the arbiters. We're gonna skip past that. This thing with MB weapon, what happened is someone tried to imbue Oaken's. Hashtag not where we go.
Get in frame.
I'm the one making the video.
Get in frame.
I can decide if I'm in frame or not.
Hello.
Anyway, all of that crap to say, there was a sage that tried to imbue Oaken's axe, the Troll Slayer axe, and he was bopping the WRAITH to it, and it just wasn't working. And eventually, the WRAITH got tired of it. So imbue weapon, there's a whole bunch of weird things. What was the next step?
So, at some point after the imbue weapon, the guy just leaves, right?
Not after killing a few people.
Yeah, he killed a few people and then just leaves. And we are still stuck in this arcane fortress. We're like, is he gone? Is he gonna come back? What's happening? So, at this point, a bunch of people leave camp to go to Solvy's wedding. And Revna and I are like, can we get confirmation that this thing is gone? Please and thank you. We missed the entire wedding, stuck in the arcane fortress.
I didn't know you were stuck in there because I just went back to being the guard.
Yeah, we were stuck in there because we couldn't get confirmation that the thing was gone. So we finally get confirmation that the WRAITH is gone, and we take the arcane fortress down. And the Riveneer comes over, and we're having a discussion with him, and we're like, okay, we're gonna lie. We're gonna say, because at the same time that ours was under attack, the Suzak Mars was also under attack, and they got the Suzak Mars. They got their idol. They never got ours. But we decided we're gonna lie. Because this thing can compel truth. We're gonna say it was taken. Only those of us standing right here, right now, know. So we put the idol back.
Because I didn't know.
In the tent where it was. And proceeded to go and lie and tell everyone who would listen in camp. We were like, okay, we're gonna lie, we're gonna disperse, we're gonna spread out because we've got a wedding reception and a big other thing happening tonight. Mingle in the crowds, get lost in them. If this thing shows back up, make yourself scarce or get back in an arcane fortress. In mine and Revna's case. Because we made sure she had another arcane fortress in case it came back. So we proceed to spend the entire rest of the evening and following day lying through our teeth to players and characters that the Wraith came back and took it after we put down the Arcane Fortress. And that it was no longer in camp. Volley still feels really bad about it.
Not at all. I don't blame you at all.
But the crones, like, immediately were like, and, like, went and checked. And Volley, like, tailed him real hard and was like, it's a lie. I'm sorry for the deception, but it's to protect it. So now that you know, do not share it. Yeah. This cannot be told, kind of thing.
And if I remember right, there was a little bit of people being upset that they couldn't compel truth in people, and like no one knows where it is.
Yeah,
because no one knew.
Because we made it on. We did it that way on purpose because we're not dumb. We know compelled truth exists.
I was just saying, no. I think this works out perfect. Like this is like it's in the rules. It's the exact. It's in the spirit of the game.
Characters are allowed to lie. Mm-hmm. You don't have to tell the truth unless you're being compelled to tell the truth.
Exactly. That's why the whole thing exists.
Exactly. So, we lied to everyone. The only people who we told were crones. Because they were going to the tent and finding out that it was still there. And I think some of the Vidir as well were learning. The first time we told people, we had to stop and out of game be like, no. Like, let's not blow this out of proportion. It's still here, but, like, we have to, like, this is out of game. Like, we have it, but we're lying to you. Mm-hmm. Because it was Oln. And a couple other people. And Oln was about to lose his Yeah, it was wild. It was really wild. And then the next day I got asked about it again, and I had to tell the whole story again, lying through my teeth.
And then he took it, and it was sad.
Pretty much,
So, my story with the Wraith was not as involved as it. I was more just, again, in the background. Like, I wasn't a notable character in almost any event. Maybe the treaty, but not really, no. I wasn't a noble character in anything, and I'm fine with that. I was okay being a background character. I was there just being a random Vatican that had my axe on him. I think because I forget it was at that point, but the reason I had the axe, I feel like I should speak about. Do you have anything you want to say about that?
No.
So that day was very busy for me.
Oh God, you're right. That was that day.
Yeah, dude. I thought it was like it feels like so long. Like you said, you said it was like a whole week.
It was like a whole week in just 3 days.
And I was like, oh wait, I was doing the math. And I was like, oh, the wedding was that night. Wait, hold on. Like I put the pieces together. I was tortured. I was traumatized. So to break it all down, again, I spent the entire time both selling maps and being Matthew's debt collector. And so I was either doing one of two things. I was either making sure he was alive or I was selling maps. And it was so much fun because he was involved in a whole lot of crap. So I was also involved.
One time you go do something with Vatican.
Yeah.
And the one time I do something, it ended horribly. So the series of events, I guess, so there was the Treaty of the Hound and the Bears. Later on, I was going to the bazaar for the first time to find Malvino. I was with Finnick and a few other of the Vatican. Actually, before that I was with the Colby boys. I helped them tour the bridge. But the thing is, like, they're supposed to be the big tough Vatican, supposed to be like, the tour guys supposed to be mean. We're mercenaries. And they were just like letting people by and just being nice. It was great. Like those when I say the Colby boys, I say pretty much everyone besides the Wivenier. Wivenier is technically part of that, but like those three, Ashbourne, Odric, and Warwick. Like I just loved every interaction with them. And then you also had Ike and Ongrim. Like those 5 menaces, so much fun to hang out with. And then we also got Finnick. Who else was in there? Finnick was there, Fafnir, Desmond, and Halfdan. And like
I saw you at the bazaar when I went to get my potions authenticated that first
yeah,
day.
and that's
the
when the
second
prince
day.
died as well.
I wasn't there for that part. I'd already left.
So that's what I'm getting to. So I hung out with those like 5 or 7 guys I mentioned. I did hung out with them quite a bit, like going on like 1 or 2, 3 different journeys, like 2 or 3 men at a time. At that point, that was like one of the times we were like a part of a big group, and so we hiked all the way to the bazaar. I got hired by some wyverns trying to find Revna for some reason, and it was a weird thing. I got paid to do stuff, and I was like, awesome, but I'm doing my bazaar things. And then they just followed me around the bazaar for like half an hour. I was trying to lose them because they paid me already. I was just trying to lose them. Just went away. But we got to the bazaar. We found Mavino. Finnick, you know those like little stone things?
The slates, yeah.
It was Fafnir, sorry. It was Fafnir. Stone slates. One of the Suzak had one of those. And Fafnir was trying to get money to do it. Trying to buy it. And I was like, well, I don't want to give money to Suzak, right? Because of a whole like embargo thing.
Yeah.
Which was kind of paused, but then the whole trial happened, and then me personally, I was like, yeah.
I'm not spending any money at the Suzak.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure most Vatican had it.
Oh.
I didn't buy anything at the.
Also, I don't need anything from the Suzak.
Exactly.
Like, why would I go up there and spend money if I don't need something from you?
Mm-hmm.
The Vatican just give me component points. I can just make potions for days.
Awesome.
I don't need anything from the bazaar. Why would I bother?
Yeah. So long story short, talking to Fafnir, I talked to him and I gave him one of my highest quality maps to do a trade instead. And I was doing all that. That's when I met you in full kit. I think you were in the helmet too.
I was in the helmet too, yeah.
And I was like, that was sick. That was cool.
The second time I was in.
I got given some beef jerky by a Wyvlin. Fafnir wanted to rob that guy after he gave me stuff, but he ran away out of game too fast. He didn't know we were after him. It was just like bad timing. But as we were walking, trying to see if we could catch up with him, that's when we hit a commotion. I just look over towards one of the Suzak tents, and I see a dead prince, a dead archer, and Claw hands up. And I'm just like, crap started. So I went to grab my sword. And I thought there was no combat. Otherwise, I would have done a lot more crap in the bazaar.
Nope, the rules very clearly stated 10 feet from guidelines.
I thought it was a blanket statement for the bazaar, and pretty much any camp was no battles any camp, and it was weird.
But also, like, the Wraith attack proves that that's not the case because he was within lots of things. So.
Oh, I need to backtrack 1 second, real quick. So I was actually hiking up there with the Corey boys, with Finnick, Fafnir, and stuff like that. I was also with a bunch of Hadrians, including Matthew. As we were walking up, that's when the kidnapping happened. And that's when that whole thing happened. So I already knew Matthew was being kidnapped. And so I kind of could tell what was going on. And so as we went up there, we got waylaid by a whole bunch of Wyverns. He was ahead of us by good 20, 30 feet. And he got kidnapped. And so me and the Hadrians were running up, trying to fight. And it was a whole weird mess of a situation. If I had known the combat was allowed, I probably would have done more. But I was just trying to act like that I was doing combat, but not really. And then so he got kidnapped. He got dragged up towards the ritual hill. Mm-hmm. That's when Joel came out and started bellowing, saying, "That's a non-combat area. That's an out-of-game area." And it was like, "Stop it!" And because we were right there by the pavilion. That's where everyone was. And so we all kind of stopped. And I found out afterwards, a whole bunch of Wyverns came up afterwards. And it was a whole weird situation. Then I did my shopping.
Oh, while you were shopping, the Riveneer saved Matthew Marshall from
Is
sacrifice.
that?
Yeah.
That's the warrior that did it?
That was the warrior that did it. It was the Riveneer.
Oh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, you did your shopping.
But,
ran into us.
I'm actually really disappointed about that. Because, I wanted to save Matthew. It's just, I didn't know anything of the situation. I didn't know he was being sacrificed. And I thought it was an out-of-combat area. So I thought he would pop up later as part of a story thing.
Decisions being overruled and changed last minute aren't conducive to people knowing what's going on.
Yeah, otherwise I would have fallen up that hill because he owed me money.
Yeah. Up the hill was one of the main ritual sites. There were like 2 of them. That was one of them. So to say that's not a combat area is incorrect.
The thing is, like, I thought that was weird. Like, oh, how are we supposed to stop the ritual then? You just go up there and like pretend and hold the weapon. And I was like, oh, it's a hill, so maybe. I'm kind of disappointed in that, and I'm gonna move past it.
Yeah.
Long story short, that whole thing happened. Clav murdered the prince. I was there, like, there was so many Vatican there. We outnumbered the Suzak by a huge amount.
Yeah, well, I brought up a big group with me to get my potions verified, because I wasn't going to be going anywhere alone. Hence why it was in full gear, because at that point I didn't know that waylaying wasn't really happening.
Keep talking.
And then we get up there, and the resource tent is closed. And I'm like, well, I'm not going back down and coming back up, because that's a big hill. I'm not doing that. So we just, like, hung out until it opened back up. And Melvino kept giving me free things. I'm like, I need you to stop, buddy.
That's awesome. There was... So, I know the resource... I did like how they had shifts and stuff like that. For that, of like, you know, there wasn't staff all the time. It wasn't resources all of the time. Like, people's staff's time. But there were multiple times.
They were there most of the time. It was just, like, during lunch.
During lunch, okay. That's fair. My main thing was when Oblivion was closed a bit early.
It's so stupid.
So, yeah, that whole happened. It's like, we outnumbered the Suzak by a good amount. And I was like, I was ready to take on the entire bazaar for Clav. And he was like, no, this is my business, this is me. And he got led away by the Suzak. I found out later...
After the incident where Kostiak got yelled at by a culture lead.
Wait, what?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yep.
We're going to have to say that louder with more words.
Please clarify this.
So, to be perfectly frank, and I don't know how much of this we're going to want to keep in, during the thing with Clav, Kostiak came over and was, playing Kostiak, and they were like, oh, you have to come with us, da-da-da-da, and Kostiak goes, no, he doesn't. And Lynn just lets loose on her and is screaming at Kostiak.
I don't remember this at all. Like, I don't
know. Have to talk to Kostiak.
Yeah. No. I'm not saying. I was saying because I left at this point.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't know this happened to Kostiak, is what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
Like, why?
We don't know.
And this is out of character for this person?
Regardless if it's in or out of character, yelling at another player in a way that is very clearly out of game feelings and aggression levels is not really acceptable.
No, I agree.
Also, you're a culture lead. You're supposed to be setting a good example. You can be loud and boisterous, but yelling at a player of another culture is definitely crossing a line, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think it is.
I agree.
I wish I was there to do something, but I don't know.
You'd have just gotten yelled at, too.
I don't care. That's... Yeah. It was a fun moment. I think overall it was a good character moment for Clav because it was also hilarious.
Yeah.
Him killing the thing.
I did it for peace!
Did it for peace! And the story I heard, talking to Clav afterwards, is he got led away by most of the Suzak, and the Suzak were like, yeah, I kind of deserved it, is what Clav told me. The Suzak told him that he deserved it. And then they let him go.
Yep. Why even bother then?
Yeah. So I don't know, like...
For showmanship?
I didn't know what happened to him
afraid
afterwards.
of something that the prince is going to do if you don't defend him?
Yeah, I was going to say diplomacy reasons.
Clav was great. Clav played diplomacy. Like, he was, like, one of the main ones, like, talking and doing stuff, from what I understand.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And then after the bazaar.
After the bazaar. Rivlins and the Hadrians hate each other. I feel like this has been established. I'm not afraid.
Yeah, you're afraid.
Right.
You're always out of frame. He's
Wow.
wandering off.
Just like a game. Gosh, another of my favorite moments is I was walking from the bazaar. There was a group of Hadrians and a group of Romans at the gate, and they were apparently talking about a breach of the treaty that had just been signed, that Kazan had been kidnapped and stuff like that. And it was like a whole weird thing because like it did happen before the signing of the treaty, but they were also going to execute Kazan, which was not part of it, which is like against the treaty, like they had signed. And so it was like a whole legalistic thing of they were arguing back and forth of whether this was under the rules. And the Hadrians were trying to like release him. We released him to us, right? And I would say Kazan. I don't know the whole story with Kazan. People love Kazan. I've never met him before.
He's an honorary Lohan. Was an honorary.
Was yeah. And so I don't need to know him to know he meant a big deal to a lot of people. And so this was a big moment of the Hadrian trying to get him back, and the Wyverns were trying to say that Kazan killed one of the Wyverns, named Linaway, I believe. She was out sick for real this game. Like, she was actually sick. I was supposed to do a quest for her for potatoes. That didn't happen because she was out of game. But I came up for that whole conversation. Selling maps. And then someone came up running saying, Matthew's been kidnapped. And that started a whole bunch of crap.
Oh, no.
That started a whole bunch of crap. And that basically was like another breach of the treaty by the Wyverns.
Oh my god.
And so yeah, there's a whole combat with that.
It's because they can't stay united long enough to actually hold up their end of anything.
So I want to say, they talked about Matthew being kidnapped while signing the treaty. They talked about kidnapping out of game while in game signing the treaty.
Oh, wow.
But so that was that whole thing. That's probably where the Wyvern heard about Matthew being kidnapped and go saved him.
He may have been watching the Ritual Hill. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like we got off topic.
Yeah, because we're supposed to be talking about you and orcs.
I'm getting kind of tired. How many hours are we into this now?
4.
Yeah.
4 hours, yeah.
I told
We're making
you
good time.
6. I told you it'd be 6.
Yeah, we're making good time.
We probably need a break for food.
Almost 5 hours.
What time is it?
It's almost 3.
Okay. So,
Well, we didn't get started till like.
do y'all want to? We can break for snacks. I got food.
Snacks.
Snacks.
I got little blueberries and stuff. Okay, snack time.
Snack time.